Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And joining us now is my friend James S. Robbins. He's commentary writer for USA Today and senior fellow for national security affairs for the American Foreign Policy Council. Hey, James.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Good. What do you make of that little rant by Chris Matthews?
I think Putin gives Chris a throw up his leg like Obama used to. It's like he's transferred allegiances now.
Well, I don't know how far he has to go, politically speaking, to transfer allegiances there, but that's another story. All right, you wrote a great piece in USA Today talking about the weapons that Russia has, and basically how Washington is getting rolled. Obama's getting rolled. I mean, it all started with the START agreement, and now it's you look, as you point out, the ballistic missile tests, and you look at the referendum that they just signed annexing Crimea. I mean, we're just sitting here basically unable to do anything.
Yeah, President Obama, or I should say Professor Obama, likes to lecture us on how this is no longer the 20th century, we need new rules, and he has this really condescending way of approaching these topics. But I think Mr. Putin is showing us that the rules don't change just because you go out and say the tide of war is receding. The same rules have applied for thousands of years, and the rules are of power. If you don't have power, well, then you have to suck it up, and this is the lesson for the Unions. At one time, at the end of the Soviet Union, they had the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world. But because back in those days, everyone thought, oh, it's the end of history, there are no more conflicts and so forth, they just gave up those nuclear weapons. Well, now the Ukrainians are learning that, hey, maybe that wasn't such a good bargain. And the United States, which at the time promised to extend our deterrence umbrella over them like it's a real umbrella, like you can just open it in the rain, are finding out that, hey, maybe the United States isn't going to be the guarantor of our security like they promised.
All right, so talk about the flexing of the muscles. Talk about the military weapons that Russia has been showing off, and how it, just as the headline of your piece says, exposes our weakness, or Washington's weakness.
Well, President Obama has a belief that the world would be better off without nuclear weapons, and maybe that's true if they all disappeared overnight, but the fact is that they exist. However, he's been pursuing this vision of what he calls global zero with the idea that, well, maybe other countries will follow us. So we've been radically drawing down our nuclear forces, and we signed an agreement with Russia, the New START agreement, back in 2010, that basically said we will build down our force, and you, Russia, you can build up your force and modernize your force, and we'll somehow reach parity. Well, that's really great, except from the Russian point of view, that's a great deal. We get weak, they get stronger. But as we're building down and we have all of these promises, like to Ukraine or to other countries in Eastern Europe or to countries in the Middle East, it becomes less credible that we could actually do anything. And so now here's a test case. Russia says, okay, we're going to invade and rip off part of a neighboring country that you have given security guarantees to, and what are you going to do about it? And our answer is, well, we're going to put devastating sanctions on 7 people.
Yeah, right. And well, then he did increase it yesterday. I think he doubled the amount yesterday. So now they're all quaking in their boots. But so you make a great point. Skipping to the end of your column, you say for America, the message is to look back to the 20th century to learn how to deal with Russia in the 21st century.
Yeah, they didn't. Russia didn't get the memo about the tide of war and all this new stuff.
I mean, they got the reset button. I saw Hillary give it to the foreign minister. She cackled when she gave it, so I saw it.
Yeah, the button that they stole off a Russian hot tub. Yeah, that's a pretty funny story. But they're out there in the real world, not in this imagined world that Mr. Obama dreamed up when he was in grad school. Back in the bad old days. They're operating in the real world, and they get away with this. Okay, they've nipped off Crimea. They're probably going to do something more to other countries in the region. And what are we going to do about it? Well, if we do build up our nuclear force, build up our missile defenses, which we drew down in Eastern Europe, by the way, and press for the Russians to, draw down their stuff. Why should we be drawing down our stuff? And they're the ones who are building up and modernizing.
Well, go ahead. Finish up. Yeah, finish your point.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say this is brutally consistent with a man who has instituted policies not only domestically but foreign policies, whether it's in the Middle East, throwing Israel aside and trying to turn Egypt into the stronghold of the Muslim Brotherhood, doing that in Libya, not doing anything in Syria. No matter what you look at, the man is consistent. Everything he has done, foreign policy-wise, is against U.S. national interests. Everything.
Absolutely, and everything he touches is failure. He was supposed to come in and renew the image of America in the world. And if you look at polls, looking at global opinion of the United States, it's lower now in almost any country that matters than it was under George W. Bush. Well, yeah, I thought, but the Obama critique was that Bush was this,
go it alone,
American
cowboy,
imperialist, all that stuff, and ruining our image in the world. Well, guess what? It's even worse now because, and you can go back to Machiavelli if you want, he said it's better to be feared than to be loved. And I don't know if the world feared George W. Bush, but I know sure as heck they neither fear nor love Barack Obama.
Well, you know the reason why, because the world, even in like all minority countries, the world's racist, you see. That's the excuse. I mean, anybody who dare not like Barack Obama for whatever reason is because they can't stand a black man in the White House. All right, so let's talk about what you think Putin is going to do now, given the circumstances you've described, moving forward. Are we talking about taking Kiev? Are we talking about, they made rumblings about, hey, there are lots of Russians we're concerned about in Estonia. I mean, would he dare?
Yeah. Well, there are two things there. Number one, in his speech, he said when he was justifying his takeover of Crimea by saying it was a Russian area, he also said that Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine, is the mother of all Russian cities. Well, what's that supposed to mean? You're going to want, guys parachuting in Kiev? So wait and see on Ukraine. I don't think things look good for them. With respect to Estonia, and I have something coming up Monday in National Journal on this, this is really serious because Estonia is a NATO ally.
Right.
Estonia has higher percentage of Russians than Ukraine. So if your argument is the one that Chris Matthews to like about, the bosom of Russia or whatever, and not to make the Hitler analogy, but come on, it's the identical argument that Hitler made about
Identical,
Germans.
Although Paul Wolfowitz said, go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Estonia has a higher percentage of Russians than Ukraine. Estonia is a NATO ally. So suppose Russia nips off like the northeast corner of Estonia because there are a bunch of Russians there and says, we're just bringing these Russians back.
Yeah, right.
Well, according to Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty,
we are
obligated.
Yeah.
Yes, we're obligated to defend Estonia. We're not obligated. Ukraine, okay, fine.
No. NATO is NATO and non-NATO is non. I mean, absolutely, you make a great point, and that's a whole new ball game. James, can't wait to read the piece on Monday. We'll have you back soon. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
James Robbins, ladies and gentlemen, commentary writer for USA Today, senior fellow for national security affairs on the American Foreign Policy Council. Very, very frightening indeed. When we come back, the final segment, Give Me 5 on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax Television.